And of course, choosing the build of the business. Also, when creating any business, you need to choose the base of operations, right? You've experienced building businesses all over Germany. This time, you've ended up in beautiful Hamburg. Not a bad view behind you yourself, obviously. Why Hamburg this time? Why was that the area that you've decided is where you want your base to be?
Well, there are professional reasons and there are personal reasons. But I would say that the personal reasons, they are definitely overwhelming. So if I look back into my life, and I was very gifted that I had the chance to travel a lot. I traveled a lot, and I was at different places. So when I was in the army for 2 years, in the school for becoming lieutenant in reserve, I was in Bavaria. Then for the studies, I've been in the middle of Germany in Göttingen. I myself, I am from Cologne, which can be well heard when I drink the first beer. And then in the meanwhile, I was also in Berlin. So indeed, I really covered the west, the south, the middle and the east of Germany. And while in my latest station before Hamburg, I was in Berlin, I made up my mind about where do I really want to be. And of course, every person is a bit different and has different characteristics, different needs, and all these things. And in my very personal point of view, I was looking for some fascination from the location itself, which is delivered by Hamburg, and the great combination of industry, roughness, nearness to the sea, but as well as that, a beautiful city. And on the other side, and that can be said, is the mentality. And of course, I know that there may be many listeners from Berlin at that moment. But on the other side, of course, it's very relevant that we don't always say things just to be liked by anyone else. So that we, especially in our generation, that we are that we say out loud what we are thinking. And while I was located in Berlin, I very much detected that the city of Berlin is not displaying to 100% what my personal values are. And I made up my mind then, and I visited friends in Hamburg multiple times, and I found out that Hamburg would be the place for me to be, as I very much liked it, and I very much appreciate the quality of living here. And this is when I ended up here. So that's the personal reasons, and from the professional reasons, is Hamburg very well networked with the rest of Germany. I would not say it has a disadvantage from Berlin, but definitely it has another background. So looking at the structure of Hamburg, there are many family offices here. There are many family businesses as well. There's a lot of logistics and trading, and not that great orientation into service only like you have it in Berlin. And that made it more attractive for me, because we are outreaching also to producing companies, also to transport industry. And for that, it's always better to be at one of these locations.
Do you think that with the incredibly fast rate that companies have been founded in Berlin, it is almost, as a founder of a business, sometimes quite intimidating to try and build a business in a location where there are so many other businesses trying to do the same journey as you?
I see where the question is going to, and it would be so easy to give a short reply to that. And I'm definitely not the politician guy who would never reply straight to an answer, but that or to a question. But that question indeed needs some more background information. Um, I will not reply that question with a very precise answer, because it's and so and so. Of course, the financial infrastructure for startups in Berlin is better if you look at the infrastructure of VCs, etc. And of course, there are more startups located there, which leads maybe to the disadvantage that you go under in the great variety of startups which is located there. So definitely it's an so and so question. What I indeed want to reply that answer with is to advertise for Hamburg as a startup location. The reason why I want to advertise Hamburg for that is that Hamburg, in my personal point of view, has a very great and a very special stamp when it comes to a Made of Germany stamp, because Hamburg stands for a hardworking, for a traditional, but as well as that, a very international and qualitative area of industry and of services as well. And I think what we are experiencing here at this moment in Hamburg is something like a smaller villages of startups, for definite. So we have little groups that are meeting up, etc., etc. But it is the things here, and the networking of the startups, and the nearness of these startups. It's very familiar, it's very comfortable, and the helping out of each others and the support towards other startups, and where you're standing. Okay, you are serious. You are in a pre-seed. Oh, we are serious. Hey, come on, I will help you out. Give me your business documents. I will read them over, etc., etc. So from what I've experienced in Berlin, there's a great competitive thinking if it comes to my personal and other startups. And in Hamburg, in my personal point of view, there's a very supportive thinking of these things.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think as well that as more and more success stories come out of Hamburg, what you'll find is that business founders will really start to look at that as a serious location. I do find on the candidates and the engineers and the developers that I speak to, especially European based, those that are looking into moving to Germany to find their next engineering opportunity, I'd say, close 80 to maybe even 90% of those people have their targets purely set on Berlin as a location, and maybe overlook Hamburg, for example. What benefits and what advantages do you think Hamburg has in regards to a place to live, other than, of course, looking good on the eyes? What benefits do you think Hamburg has for somebody that's potentially looking at moving into Germany for the first time?
Well, first of all, and I think this is becoming relevant here also to give the audience a better overview also of your position. I want to ping that question back to you to give the audience a better overview of you personally and what your connection is to Hamburg. And sure. Once the listener understood that, it may be easier for me to reply to that on a very on a connecting basis to that.
So for me personally, I chose Hamburg as a location to focus on for a number of reasons. First of all, I think probably even from most perspectives, it became overlooked as a location. Back in 2018, when German startups set the record for the cash flow of over 3 billion euros that year, the majority were in Berlin, around 40%, and then Munich had around 15%. But then Hamburg was sitting in third place at around 6-7%. So, as the third largest tech hub in Germany, financially, I was quite surprised by the amount of developers that I was speaking to that didn't really consider it as a location. So what I wanted to do was work with businesses in Hamburg specifically to find out how they have been growing their tech teams over the last few years, some of the challenges that they faced, and then try to solve those and share that information with developers across Europe that are looking into moving into Germany. And as I mentioned before, if you look at companies like Facebook, Airbnb had its first office in Hamburg. You now have Twitter, Microsoft, all of these much larger global giants are opting at moving into Hamburg as their German footprint. And I think that looking at how it's evolved over the last 5 years, I see that only progressing in the next 5 years. And I've certainly seen a growing interest both on the development side, speaking to developers and engineers that are looking at moving into Germany. Hamburg has become a real contender for the location, but also for business founders, as we've mentioned earlier, as more and more success stories come out of Berlin, of Hamburg, and more recognizable companies are moving into Hamburg. Business founders are also looking in that direction. You know, if you look into the newer unicorns of the market, such as About You and Deposit Solutions, it will be quite easy for founders to look at those companies and think, well, if they can do it in Hamburg, why can't we?